بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Use your hands with me in dua. رب اشرح لي صدري. Oh Allah, open up my heart and my mind to receive the information I'm about to receive. ويسر لي أمري, and ease my affairs. واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي, and untie the knots in my tongue so that they may understand what I'm about to say. رب أرني الحق حقا فأتبعه. Oh Allah, let me see the truth as the truth so that I may follow it. والباطل باطلا فأجتنبه, and falsehood is falsehood so that I may avoid it. ولا تجعله متشابها علي. And don't let there be a confusion between truth and falsehood. فأتبع هواي بغير علم, lest I fall into following my whims without even realizing it. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the chapter of Al-Insan, in the third verse of this chapter, he says, إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Surely we guided him to the straight path. Either he is thankful and he stays on the path, or he is unthankful and disbelieving and he deviates off that path. صدق الله العلي العظيم. آمنا بالله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. In the last lecture, we were able to address the question of the existence of Allah. And we were able to prove without a doubt, using our intellects, that the Creator truly exists. And not only does the Creator exist, but a Creator is greater than what they create. And therefore the Creator of all of limitation is greater than limitation, which means that He must be unlimited, right? And we said being unlimited means that He neither has a beginning nor an end. Which means, why? Because there are both limits, right? Which means that He always existed and will always exist. And that also means that He is everywhere. He sees all things without the need for eyes, and He hears all things without the need for ears. We said it also means that He has no flaws, because flaws are limitations, right? Which means that He's flawless, which means that He's all perfect. And since He's all perfect, that means He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't contradict Himself, right? That means that He knows all things and that He is all wise. He does everything for a reason. He's all purposeful and He's all just, right? He doesn't oppress, not even an atom's worth, right? Nick, come over here. Come sit in front of me. Pull up a chair or something so you don't sit on the floor. Yeah. So that means then that He's a purposeful Creator, right? He does everything with a purpose, because to do something without purpose is what? Is a deficiency. It's a flaw, right? And we already proved that He is flawless because He's unlimited. Therefore, everything He does with a purpose, which means I have a purpose, you have a purpose. Everything in this world is created with a purpose and for a purpose, right? Now this is great for me to know. Why? And we said it's paradigm shifting, because really what ends up happening is I grow up in a society that busies me so much with social media and with, bombards me in school with certain theories about how the world came out of coincidence, and how we're going to address coincidence, we're going to address evolution, we're going to address chaos theory, inshallah, as well, in upcoming lectures. Not next one, but the one after that, inshallah. We'll address coincidence and chaos theory. And then after that, we'll do evolution, inshallah. Okay, so make sure you tune in, make sure you continue to come and benefit. So we understand then our Creator is all purposeful. We also said that since He's the all perfect, and He chose for me to exist, for you, Abu al-Fadl, for Yusuf, for Abu Shahab, for Nick, for Hajjaj, to exist, that tells us what? That tells us that we are worthy of existing. We're not just a little worthy, we're extremely worthy of existing, right? Why? Because who chose for us to exist? The most perfect chose for us to exist. The Creator of all things, the unlimited, chose for us to exist. And so once we think about that, really, truly, deeply consider that and think about it, we're going to be awestruck, right? Who am I for Allah to choose for me to exist, to allow me to know His greatness. You know how, for example, when you see these guys on social media and these girls, when they see a celebrity, they start screaming and fainting and stuff like that. Why? Because they saw one human being, who maybe sings or maybe plays football or maybe, right? So, but we're in the presence of greatness all the time and we don't even realize it. Why do these people act that way? They humble themselves to the point that they fall into a state of unconsciousness, right? Because they're so awestruck. They feel so humbled that they don't know what to do with themselves, and so they faint, right? They can't handle the excitement. But if we really think about it, right? We exist in Allah's greatness. We exist in the presence of His greatness, right? If we were in the court of a king, right, we would say, we'd watch how we walk, we'd watch how we talk, we'd watch how we dress, right? We'd watch how we carry ourselves and how we present ourselves, right? We'd be well shaven, maybe. Of course, if you have a beard, you need to make sure your beard is growing out, right? When I say well shaven, I mean line it up, get a nice line up, all right? Inshallah, you'll have a beard one day, inshallah, and you can do that, right? So, but being on your best behavior in the presence of a king, what about He who created that king and the kings before him and after him? Should we not be in our best form in front of Him? Think about that, right? Should we not wear, nice, clean clothes? Should we not have proper hygiene? Should we not conduct ourselves only with the utmost respect and dignity? And we said, because the All-Perfect created others that surround us in this world, right? Should we not respect them and give them the same value that our Creator gave them? And that's why we said yesterday, I value you, Ahmed. Why do I value you so much? Because Allah valued you enough that He deemed you worthy of existing. Same with Abu al-Fadl, same with Yusuf, same with Nick, same with al-Hajjaj, same thing, right? So now how I look at people around me is different. I'll no longer be that introvert that shies away from knowing people. Rather now I'll be more interested in getting to know people. Because Allah chose for that person to exist. So how important must they be that He put them in my life for me to get to know them? Or for me to shy away from them? No, rather for me to get to know them, right? Maybe benefit them if I know something that they don't know, right? If I see them doing something that maybe is unbecoming of one of Allah's creations, then I should try to benefit them, not force them, right? But talk to their intellects, because God gave us an intellect with which we were able to prove His existence, right? To realize His value. And with that same intellect, I should use wisdom, right? To talk to others, right? To benefit others. So here now we come to a point where now that we understand our own self-worth, we said that what should I do then with myself? What is my ultimate purpose? We said my ultimate purpose is to show gratitude to Allah. I'm obligated. Just like I'm obligated to my parents, right? To always make them feel happy with me, pleased with me, right? So I do my utmost to show my obedience to them, right? To show that I value them. And we said, why is that? Because what did they do for me? They raised me, right? They gave me everything that I need to thrive in this world. So just like I would want to please them and make them proud because they have this great right upon me, then who has an even greater right upon me than them? Who? Allah, the Creator, Ahsant. He who created them and created those before them and gave me the very breath with which I breathe and the existence with which I know, that I am here and that I am in His presence. You see? So now that I understand this, I say, well, how do I show Him gratitude? Well, I can show Him gratitude in a couple of ways. We said one way is to emulate Him. Just like you see a little boy or a little girl, when they're younger, they're looking at their father or their mother, they're seeing what they're doing and they copy them, right? And that makes that parent so proud, right? It makes the parent full of pride. Oh, look at my son or my daughter, they're doing the same thing that I do, right? Holding the pen, maybe, playing with, making as though they have fake glasses, right? Just so that they imitate you. So the other thing, for example, is when guests come over, right? I might take on the role of being the host instead of my parents. I make sure I tell my dad or my mom, let me present the juice or the chai or the tea, right? And so when I present it, What do people do when they take that drink, or that chai, or that juice? They say, Rahmallah walidayk. May Allah have mercy upon your parents. And how much does that make you feel proud that you made your parents proud, that this person is looking at you and saying, wow, your parents raised you well, right? Makes you feel good inside. And if your parents are seeing that as well, what are they thinking? They're thinking of how proud they are of you, that you're emulating their good behavior, right? Make sense? If it makes sense, say it makes sense, right? So then that's one way of showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, that we are grateful to him. So we see how he tolerates his creations, so we tolerate them, right? He's tolerant, so we have to be tolerant. He's patient with his creations, therefore we must be patient as well, right? He is kind to all of humanity, therefore we must be kind as well. Allah is benevolent, meaning what? Meaning He gives you things without you even knowing that you need them. He provides you parents, even though when you come to this world, you don't know that you need parents, right? Makes sense? Right? And yet, it is out of His benevolence. This is a very important word. What's the word? Benevolence. In Arabic, we call it lutf. We say, Allahu latifun. Lutf means that He gives you what you need without even you asking, without even you knowing that you need it. You see? Not only that, the Creator allows people who transgress against Him, who don't follow His religions, right? Who go the opposite route. He still gives them an opportunity with every breath. He gives them an opportunity to find Him, right? To repent, to ask Allah for forgiveness. So, okay, so the other way is, just like, for example, let's say I ask let's say it's my dad's birthday, or my mom's birthday, or Mother's Day, let's say, okay? Or Father's Day. And I go out and I want to get a gift for my parents, okay? Now, this could be a kind of a cringe moment where you give your parents something that they don't enjoy and don't like, right? And they'd be like, oh, thank you so much. I love it. I love another rainbow tie. Thank you so much, right? Or you could actually find out from them what it is that they would like as a gift. And when you ask them and they tell you, when you give them that gift, right, and they open it up, they're going to act surprised, yes, but they're going to be so much happier that you took the time to find out what they wanted from you, and you gave them what they needed and wanted from you. Am I right, brothers, or no? Right? Okay. So the same applies to, let's say, for example, you go up to your mom and you say to her, hey, Mom, I cleaned out the garage. She'll be like, wow, that's great. I'm proud of you. But I really would have wished that you organized your room, or that you did your homework. And you're like, man, I did all this for nothing, right? I cleaned out the garage, I organized it. It's like, no, it's not. There's nothing wrong with what you did, but I just wanted you to prioritize. This is what I really wanted you to do. So it would have made sense to do what? To ask them beforehand, exactly, right? So the same thing then applies with me and my Creator. I should ask my Lord, okay, I know there's a necessity for communication, right? Think about it. When I go to school, the school gives me a textbook and they give me a teacher and they give me a syllabus, right? When I'm in school, a teacher gives me assignments. She tells me, or he tells me what they expect of me, right? They tell me when my exams are. What about when there's a pop quiz? What happens? Do I enjoy pop quizzes? No. Why? Why don't I like pop quizzes? Because they're sudden, because they're unexpected, because nobody told you. What's the first thing you think of? Man, that is so unfair, right? Okay, why? Because there wasn't that communication to tell you that, oh, you're going to have a test or a quiz right then and there, okay? So if you're not prepared, even if you're a good student, you might be having a bad day, you might not be prepared, and so you might, flunk the quiz, right? And so you think, that's not fair, obviously, right? So would the all-fair, the unlimited, the all-perfect Creator do that to me? Would He put me in a world, right? And being the all-purposeful Creator that He is, and not tell me what He expects of me? And not communicate with me? Like, think about it. If I want to go play basketball, right? And I want to meet up with the guys, right? We all go, we communicate with each other, right? If I want to go and meet up for a car show, right? What are we going to do? We're also going to maybe on the group send each other messages, right? And we're going to meet up, right? If let's say one person isn't in the group and we all go to the car show and that one person doesn't show up, and then the next day we see him and we're like, man, why didn't you show up? You know, start ragging on him, right? We waited, when we were there, everybody was there, why didn't you come? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody told me, right? Wouldn't it be cruel, what we just did to this poor individual? Would that not be cruel? To actually berate him and make him feel bad for something that he knew nothing of, right? That we didn't actually communicate with him and tell him, listen, we're going to be here, come and join us at the car show, right? That would be unfair, agreed? If you agree, say I agree. Good. So, would Allah do something that's unfair then, like that? Would He put me in this world and then say, listen, Abu Shahab, Ahmed, you should have done this, you didn't. You should have done that, you didn't. And what are you going to say to him? You say, but you never told me what to do. Right? Would Allah do that to us? Since Allah is unlimited, He's all perfect, He's flawless, He's all just, then He would never do that to me. So He has to communicate with me. There's a necessity for communication. We'll talk about that, inshallah, in the next session, inshallah. Or not next session, after evolution. We'll go back to this, we'll revisit it, and then we'll talk about how do I know that a message is from Allah. So there's a necessity for a message, but how do I know that a message is from Allah? Okay, next we said we're going to talk about predestination and free will. So let me ask you a question. When somebody forces you to do something, is that fair or unfair? Usually it's unfair, right? It's downright oppressive. Would you agree? Right? If somebody force feeds you, that's considered what? Unfair, right? Unjust, right? Oppressive. If somebody forces you to leave somewhere and you want to be there, oppressive, right? If somebody prevents you from doing something that you know is good for you and they know is good for you, would that be oppressive or no? Right? So to be forced is bad. Would you agree? If you agree, say I agree. What about having choice? Is choice good? You guys like to have choice, right? I mean, we know humans like choice because when you go to a restaurant, you see the menu and all the choices that are there, right? Okay, right? So choice is good. Would you agree? Nick, you agree? Choice is good? Yeah? And being forced to do something is bad. Agreed? Good. So would the Creator, the all-perfect, the unlimited, the all-just, force me to do things, to follow Him, or would He give me choice, even in choosing Him? Because the question is, would God do something bad or would He do something good? To be forced is bad, so Allah is not going to do it. To give you choice is good, right? And therefore Allah will do that, even if it means not choosing Him. He's that fair. He's that fair. Now, when you have a God like that, how can you not choose Him? How can you not choose what He wants for you? Because if He's the engineer that created you, think about it when you buy a car, right? In order for you to fix it up, right? To know when to change the oil, the lube, and the filter, right? You need to follow the manufacturer's recommendations, agreed? Right? Well, مو كل يوم, not every day or every other fortnight, you change the oil, lube, and filter, right? Okay? You follow what the manufacturer tells you, every 3 months or every 3,000 miles, right? Something like that, okay? When you want to modify your car, okay? Right? Of course, I'm not advocating for street racing or anything else like that, but I'm saying, let's say you want to modify your car, okay? If you want to modify your car, there's a way to modify it, right? If you wing it, you're probably not going to get the speed that you need, right? Or the sound that you need, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I right or am I wrong? If I'm right, say you're right.
You're right.
I like being told that I'm right. Say it again. Okay. So that tells me then that it only makes logical sense that if I'm going to get full benefit out of something, I need direction. I need a user's manual, right? If I'm going to have choice, I need to know what my choices are. And I want you to think about life like this. How many of you like gaming? How many of you have a PlayStation or an Xbox? Or you guys like to game, yeah? Okay. So in the game, there are levels, right? Do you start at level 5? You always start at level what? Level 1, right? In order for you to get to level 2, what do you have to do? You have to beat level 1. To beat level 1, you have to know the right choices to make. So when you're playing level 1, right, you're going to make a lot of wrong choices at the beginning. Now, if you're sitting with someone, let's say, for example, what's your favorite game? Call of Duty. I knew it. Okay, Call of Duty. So let's say I don't know Call of Duty, right? And I try to play it by myself and I don't have any guidance, okay, on what to do, what to choose, what weapon, which direction to go, whatever. Am I more likely to be killed in, within seconds? Probably. But if I have Abu al-Fadl sitting next to me, right, and he's basically telling me, go right, go left, pick up this weapon, pick up that, right? I'm more likely to beat that game. So when I have direction, right, I'm more likely to be able to make the right choices. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, say it makes sense. And in order for me to beat that level, I have to practice over and over and over. I might be doing that one thing right, but I might not be doing it fast enough. I might not have noticed the guy around the corner fast enough, right? I might have taken the wrong turn, right? So I have to practice over and over and over so that then I perfect that level by making the right choices that are needed in order for me to get to level 2. And once I get to level 2, I'm going to fall flat on my face again. But if I need to go back and play level 1, I will beat it very fast, right? Because I already know what I need to do. I'm strong enough now. I went through those experiences. I know the choices to make. And I can help others make the right choices, right? Now when I'm at level 2, I need to start from 0. But I'm not totally at 0. Why? Because I have my past experience and the right choices I made before. That means that I'm strong enough to handle level 2, right? And once I beat level 2, after a few tries, falling on my face, dying a few times, coming back to life, picking the right tools that I need in order to beat that level, then I'm going to get to level 3. And at one point, I might even learn that there's a cheat code that can get me past that level, right? Or 2 levels, like a back door, right? Right? Depending on who you know, okay? Right? So if you look at life as a game, right? It's the same way. Think of the programmer as God. God has programmed that you have X number of choices, okay? Just like the programmer determined that, let's say, you have at the beginning 2 choices. You go right or left. You choose right, right? You've gone in the right, okay? Next, you have another 2 choices. You go right or left, right? You hit the left, you fall flat on your face. You get back up, you start from the beginning. Now I go right and then I go right, okay? Right? Does that make sense? Okay? So now then, I understand that if I think of life that way, that the programmer is Allah. And that Allah has given me choices and He's testing me to see, do I make the right choices or not? He's going to allow, and we'll talk later when we talk about trials and tribulations in the next session, why it is that Allah allows us to make bad choices. Because choice is good, right? And He gives me an intellect with which to decide what is good and what is bad. And sometimes I make choices knowing that they're bad, right? Right? Or else you wouldn't have a doctor that smokes, right? There are doctors that smoke, can I tell you, right? So why is it that happens? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about faith, we'll talk about knowledge, we'll talk about the relationship between the two, inshallah, in upcoming lectures. But the main thing now for us to understand is that then that means that there's an ultimate engineer and programmer. We need a manual from him to understand what are the recommendations for our oil, lube, and filter so that we function properly, right? When should our tires be rotated, right? That makes sense, right? When should the filters be changed, right? How often should we be, changing the tires, right? We need a user's manual. That's number 1. We'll talk about that when we get to, inshallah. The other thing is that we said is other than the user's manual is I need to understand that in this life I have free will with many things. Meaning, when I wake up in the morning, I have a choice whether I hit the snooze button or I get up, right? I have a choice whether I brush my teeth before I sleep or not, right? I have a choice whether I brush my teeth in the morning or not. I have a choice whether I skip class or not. I have a choice whether I go to my extracurricular activities or not, right? I have a choice whether I do my homework or not, right?
Those mistakes lead to lessons.
Yes. Yes, you will learn from those lessons, exactly. The wrong thing is to make the mistake and keep falling into the same mistake and expect different results. Right? That's insanity. That's the definition of insanity, right? Okay. So, okay, good. So now we understand then, if I think of life as the game of life, and the ultimate programmer is the creator, Allah Almighty, the unlimited creator, that means then the choices that I have before me are all going to be fair within His system, number one, because He's all fair and all just. And number two, that I can handle whatever comes my way, even if I fall flat on my face, even if I struggle, there will always be an opportunity. Not just that, there will also be keys, like cheat codes and back doors. If I play my cards right, I will, proverbially, of course, haram to play cards in Islam, right? Haram to gamble in Islam, right? So if I make the right choices, then He will provide me a means to get certain codes that will allow me to skip levels even. Okay, right? So is it unfair that He knows all of the choices? No, it's not unfair. Because He created a system to see who is going to show Him more gratitude, more appreciation, which means everything that I go through in my life, I can choose whether I let it drag me down or I look beyond it, right? And I think I'm only going to be stronger after this, right? We'll cover that even more in the trials and tribulations session. So what we learned today then is that our ultimate purpose is to show gratitude to Allah Almighty, right? And that gratitude can be shown in two ways. Number one, to basically emulate Him, His kindness, His tolerance, His mercy, right? To be kind to all, to appreciate all, to know all, right? Out of appreciation for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like we emulate our parents, we would emulate our Creator, right? And also we learned that choice is good and being forced is bad. And therefore Allah will only do what is good, which means that I will have free choice. Yes, there are things that are predestined, like, my liver function, how my kidneys work, how my heart works, the sunrise, the sunset. These are all things out of God's benevolence that He places for me in order for me to thrive in this world, right? If, let's say, gravity wasn't what it was, okay? I'd be floating all over the place, right? Okay? I wouldn't be able to get to where I want to go, right? Okay? If there was a difference in the natural physical laws of nature, planets would completely collide with one another and there wouldn't even be a universe, right? So He made everything in perfect form just for me to be able to live on this earth and to thrive so that I can make the right choices in this game of life. So that then I can make the good choices that bring me closer to Him, that I go through level 1, I perfect myself, and I move on to level 2. Think about it. When I'm a kid, right? What's my biggest worry? Who's gonna give me milk, right? Then it's how I'm gonna turn around. Then it's how am I gonna crawl. Then it's how am I gonna get up and walk. Then it's how am I gonna run. Then it's how am I gonna learn to swim. Then it's how am I gonna learn to read, right? Talk and read and so on, right? Okay, it's level after level. And since God is all perfect, He will not burden me with more than I can handle. Which means that every level that I'm at, He's going to, out of His benevolence, give me the tools that I need, the people that I need, that He's going to put in my way, at 16 years old, or at 17, or 18, or 19, or 12, right? Okay? So that they may guide me to get to the next level, or levels that I need to get to, you see? And so that is out of Allah's what? Benevolence. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والفاتحة على أرواح المرحومين مسبوقة مشفوعة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليه وسلم.